Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight on 7 News at 7. We have team coverage, as we mentioned tonight, on civil rights leader and activist Reverend Jesse Jackson, who died at the age of 84.
Reaction from across the country tonight, including the governor of South Carolina and across the upstate. But first, a look back at his life.
Jesse Jackson is a very charismatic person who could have spent his character, his physical ability, his intellect, doing something that made him very rich. But he did not pursue that.
He has a place in history, particularly in the heart of those who are in Greenville and South Carolina.
Born into racially segregated Greenville, South Carolina in 1941, Jesse Jackson was the son of a maid and a janitor with a natural gift for drawing a crowd.
When I knew him, he was in high school, and I used to get him and Elvis confused. He seemed larger than life. To me, they kind of looked alike. And Elvis always had people around him, and Jesse always had people around him, always.
Jackson was class president at Sterling High School, one of those kids you find on almost every page of the yearbook. A star athlete, handsome and popular, he earned an opportunity to play minor league baseball, which he turned down for a football scholarship, first to the University of Illinois, then North Carolina A&T, always with a seemingly impossible ambition.
When he was in high school, he said he was going to be president. Now, he was in high school in the 50s, before we could ride anywhere we wanted to on buses, before he could go to the library on Main Street. He said then he was going to be president.
On break from college in 1960, he and 7 other young students, the Greenville 8, walked into that Main Street library and illegally began to read. They were arrested and charged. The mayor ordered the library closed, preferring no library to an integrated one. But when Jackson and his companions prevailed in federal court, the library opened to all, and the charges were dropped.
There was a certain innocence about it. It was, we were fighting for really private dignity.
In much of the 1960s, now Reverend Jackson was inspired by and worked alongside Dr. Martin Luther King, rising quickly in King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Jackson was 26 and with Dr. King when an assassin shot and killed the civil rights leader in Memphis. Soon after, Jackson led King's Operation Breadbasket in Chicago, which in 1971 he renamed Operation Push, using boycotts to protect black homeowners, workers, and business. Jackson's national profile grew larger, and by the mid-1980s, he would come close to that outlandish high school promise.
When I was born late one afternoon, October 8th, in Greenville, South Carolina, no writers asked my mother her name. Nobody chose to write down our address.
Jackson entered the 1984 Democratic primary, finished third, and won more than 3 million votes. In 1988, he came much closer.
When you see Jesse Jackson, when my name goes in nomination, your name goes in nomination. I was born in the slum, but the slum was not born in me. And it wasn't born in you, and you can make it.
Jackson's campaign won 13 primaries, including South Carolina, earning more than 1,000 convention delegates, finishing second on the convention ballot.
He gave people hope to understand that it is possible. And so when it happened, he was like, oh my God, it is possible.
Jackson later became an unofficial international diplomat, visiting war zones, including negotiating the release of American prisoners. In the early 2000s, it was Greenville that called him back home.
Actually, Reverend Jackson was coming to Greenville to eulogize my father. Then he was surprised, shocked that Greenville County did not acknowledge the King holiday.
By 2003, Greenville was the only county in South Carolina that did not officially recognize the MLK holiday. Jackson used tactics similar to his 1960 library sit-in, camping out at the county council. This time, demonstrators were not arrested, and the protests grew.
And came here because a lot of people just said, some of our news doesn't get any further than right in this city. It might get to Spartanburg, or it might get to Charleston, but when Jesse came, we did what we could to make sure it could be seen and heard, because we didn't want to be the last county in the United States of America that had a Martin Luther King holiday. and we were getting very close. We were down to the last two.
As many as 10,000 protesters gathered at this rally in 2003, marching from the Greenville County Courthouse to County Square. The pressure did work. The county recognized the holiday in 2006.
He never did it for the rewards and the accolades, even though people kind of seem to think that's what motivates him. I think Dr. King motivated him, the idea that you could do something bigger than yourself.
Jackson had announced several years ago he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Last year, his family said the diagnosis changed to supranuclear palsy, a neurological disorder.
The Jackson family released a statement calling their father a servant leader. They go on to say, quote, "Not only to our family, but to the oppressed, the voiceless, and the overlooked around the world. We shared him with the world, and in return, the world became part of our extended family." His unwavering belief in justice, equality, and love uplifted millions, and we ask you to honor his memory by continuing to fight for the values he lived by. Governor McMaster ordered flags at the Capitol to be lowered in honor of Reverend Jackson. McMaster also released a statement which reads in part, quote, "A native son of South Carolina and an icon of the civil rights movement, the Reverend Jesse Jackson was a prominent voice in our nation's political and cultural dialogue."